as you would expect, the Oklahoma City Thunder bounced back from their game one loss and took home a 122-113 victory to knock this series at one apiece going back to San Antonio. Now, coming into this game, we wanted to see what adjustments Mark Daigneault was going to make after the crazy game when Wembanyama had 41 points, 24 rebounds, and 3 blocks. A game where Shai Gilgeous went 7 for 23 from the field. A game where the Spurs, despite it going to overtime, it kind of felt like they were in control for majority of the game. Tonight, OKC was the ones that looked way better. Offensively, they flowed way better offensively. I think it took them 3 minutes in the first game to get a bucket. They scored on like their second possession in this game. I think OKC came into the game realizing, okay, we're doing all this theatrics. I think Mark Daigneault realized, okay, we're doing all this theatrics, trying to be the smartest guy in the room. We cannot stick a 6'4", 6'5" guy on Wemby for the entirety of the game. He's going to go off for 40 points and 20 rebounds. So they decided to play Isaiah Hartenstein, and Isaiah Hartenstein attracted the matchup of Wembanyama for a majority of the game. And Wemby finished 21 points, 17 rebounds. Now, I'm not going to say this was a bad Wemby game, but, I think I want to see Wembanyama shoot more than 16 shots. I think going into the fourth quarter, he only had like 9 or 10 shots. I want to see Wembanyama empty the clip, because he's that good. We know he's that good. I think Hartenstein was a good, different chess move to throw at Wembanyama, but I don't think that's the answer to shut him down. Shai Gilgeous after the game even said, yeah, I don't think it was good, though. Yeah, it did something, but I don't think it was good. So, heck, put a bigger body on Wemby, wear him down. I think Hartenstein got away with a lot of grabbing, and I think over the course of the game, that wore down Wembanyama, of course, and it turned into not a crazier game. I think it was still a pretty good game from Wemby, but not the craziest game like we saw in game one. Another thing I wanted to see was Shai Gilgeous. How would Shai Gilgeous respond to game one? And you look at the way he played tonight, the way he played a couple nights ago, it looked like a completely different player, He was hitting shots that he was missing in game one. I loved how decisive he was with his decisions. He was not just waiting around, waiting for, the defense to fully collapse or fully, overload or double him. He made his decisions fast. He made the quick pass. He was decisive, getting to his spots, getting to his shots. And he turned in 30 points and 9 assists yet again. Shai Gilgeous is a guy that I believe he's so gifted offensively that there's no way you're going to just shut him down for the entirety of a series. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to make life tough for him. I don't think he's going to shoot as efficient as he shot tonight. But I don't think we're going to see a whole bunch of 7 for 23 point games. You know what I'm saying? I think we may see a couple maybe like a 10 for 24 and that's not the greatest shooting percentage at all. But I think we're not going to see Wemby. We're not going to see Shai struggle the way that we saw him struggle in game one for majority of this series. That's just my thoughts on how good this guy is. And tonight he looked great. And he also got a lot of help. He got a lot of help, man. The bench scored 57 points, y'all. The OKC bench outscored the Spurs bench 57-25. And that mattered because Jared McCain had a couple of, he bricked a lot, but he hit a couple of big shots. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Caruso came in and made all kinds of crazy plays. We saw a lot of Isaiah Joe tonight. You know what I'm saying? AJ Mitchell had a decent little game as well. And I think that's the big thing for the Timberwolves, for the Thunder. Thunder have got to get production from their depth because that's what makes them such a problem because they're so deep. They can bring in 4 new guys or 5 new guys or 3 new guys, and they can keep that level of play up. And tonight we saw it. We didn't really see it in game one, but tonight we saw it. And if they can keep this going for the rest of the series, they may be going back to the finals. I think the big thing for the Spurs is the turnovers. The turnovers. Game one, after game one, I said, man, if the Spurs can cut down on turnovers, they should pretty much handle OKC. Just because, when the Spurs set their defense, this is the best defense in the league with the best defender in the league. And when you have area of the goal of the court that people don't want to go to, and with that area being the paint, your defense is a lot a lot better than it is if the defense is not set. But when you have all these live ball turnovers and then OKC can get out and run, or you have these long misses on the 3-point shots and OKC can get out and run, that's when they can put you in a scramble mode, a mode where they can put it. Mark Daigneault said that after the game. He said that if we play with the tempo they want to play with, we can put a bunch of different guys in actions and at the same time just based off how fast they're running. And we saw that a lot tonight. 13 turnovers in the first half is a recipe for disaster. They finished with 21. They finished with 21 turnovers, and that's just not good. That's just not good. I know a lot of people are going to blame the referees, and I think the officiating was bad tonight in terms of missing a whole bunch of missed calls. But the turnovers are, to me, what caused this series to be 1-1. And, of course, if we're talking turnovers and Spurs, we got to talk about Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle had another crazy turnover game, 9 turnovers on a night. He's in a position that he's never really been in, being straight up being the point guard against the second best defense in the NBA, and it's going to lead to a bunch of turnovers. It's only his second year in the NBA. So I think if they can get Fox back in game 3, because Fox was ruled out about 30 minutes before game 2 started, if they can get Fox back for game 3, they'll definitely cut down on turnovers, because that's going to be a vet coming in and, handling the point guard duties. But, for what it's worth, Stephon Castle, I think he had a pretty good game, turnovers aside. I think he did a great job of attacking the basket. He had a crazy dunk in that second quarter. And he just put so much pressure on OKC, on the rim for OKC. Because he can jump out the gym, he gets to the foul line, he puts pressure. Him and Dylan Harper, the Slash brothers, crazy. Dylan Harper had 12 points tonight, only played 25 minutes. He got injured, looked like a hamstring. And I'll be honest, when Dylan Harper went out, that's when the game switched. Because Dylan Harper checked out, and then Wemby had to go sit. And I think it was just Castle out there for a little bit, and the scoring just fell off for the Spurs. They could not score, and that run to go up by like 10 points, it changed the game. And then once again later in the fourth quarter, I think the Spurs tied the game up, and the OKC went on a 10-0 run in that fourth quarter, and ultimately kind of rolled that run to the end of the game. The thing about the Spurs too is like their depth. You only get 25 points from the bench. Them being such a deep team is great, but when they're missing guys like a De'Aaron Fox, like a Dylan Harper, you have no depth if your depth gets hurt. So I think that's something we got to watch out for, because if Dylan Harper, if you get Fox back but you lose Dylan Harper, you're kind of in the same position to me. You're in the same boat. And, it's not really where you want to be if you're the Spurs. Now, Devin Vassell gave you a good game. He hit 6 threes, had 22 points. But I know Keldon Johnson, to me, has not been that great in these playoffs. And I don't know if I'm counting on him to step up big time. Even though he's 6th man of the year, I'm not counting on him to step up big time in this series against OKC. That's just me. I know the Spurs may be counting on him, but I'm not counting on him to step up big time in this series. So we had a couple of injuries. Tonight. Dylan Harper, I just said, went out with a hamstring. Jalen Williams, J-Dub, went out in the first quarter and did not return. He also was dealing with a hamstring injury. And at the end of the game, A.J. Mitchell went down and like he was holding his quad. That is something we got to watch out for. Because if you have no J-Dub or A.J. Mitchell, you might be in some serious trouble. Because there were times in this game when Shai Gilgeous checked out and A.J. Mitchell was the only creator on the floor, and he was able to get a couple of good shots, a couple of good looks, a couple of good buckets. But if he's out the game and when Shai checks out, you have nobody that you can really rely on to put the ball on the ground and get a bucket for themselves. I know Jared McCain tried a lot tonight. Jared McCain did a whole bunch of running around, passing the ball, coming off screens, shooting. He did a whole bunch tonight, but that's not McCain's game to kind of step up and be that A.J. Mitchell kind of creator role. That's not Jared McCain's game. So we got to watch out for that. Game 3, going back to San Antonio, tied 1-1. The Spurs came into OKC and did what they were supposed to do. They went and took a game in OKC. And now if they protect home court, they're going to be going back to OKC up 3-1. So I think they're still I would say they're still in the driver's seat of this series, for sure. For sure. And then of course, you go to your home fans, the floodgates open. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see this chess match though. I'm excited to see this chess match. I want to see how Wembanyama responds to game 2. I think the officiating is gonna be better in game 3. It's gonna be more tight in game 3. The Spurs are gonna hit up the league offices and talk to them about I heart holding Wemby on every single possession, holding Wemby, and the refs wasn't calling it. So that's not gonna fly out in this game. Oh, I almost didn't mention Chet Holmgren. He arrived that third quarter. He had a really good third quarter. Chet Holmgren, this is a guy that I wanted to see more of this game. You got Wembanyama staring you face to face. You have got to do something. And I know I'm not asking you to match Wembanyama because you're not going to do that. But I'm asking you to be a presence on the court. And tonight he was a presence. He had a couple of good defensive possessions on Wembanyama. He had a couple of good offensive possessions. Not really on Wembanyama, but yeah. I just want to see him be more aggressive. I want to see him be more aggressive and more decisive because most times they got a smaller guy on him. Wembanyama's not guarding Chet, just like Chet's not guarding Wemby. So if you got, a Julian Champagne on you, be aggressive, be assertive. And we saw that a little bit in that third quarter for Chet Holmgren. And he was a big part of the OKC's run to kind of get in front in the second half. But yeah, this is a really good series. Turning out to be a really good series. OKC fights back. We're going to be back out here again tomorrow night for the Knicks and Cavs recap. But man, until next time, going for 2, we out of here. Yay.